Have you heard of yoga nidra, or maybe non-sleep deep rest? This is something that's becoming more and more popular thanks to a man called Andrew Huberman, who we will talk about in just a moment. It is essentially a deep relaxation practice, similar to meditation, but a little bit easier perhaps. And there are claims that just 30 minutes of yoga nidra can have a similar effect on your nervous system in terms of resting and recharging as hours or even a full night's sleep. So what is yoga nidra? How can you do it? Is it something that you should be practicing? How does it all work? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. If it's your first time watching one of my videos, welcome to my channel. My name's Emily and I share some yoga practices, but I also share educational videos about yoga, about the philosophy, the history, and different types of practice that you might be interested in. Let's start with how yoga nidra works. What do you do? So yoga nidra is a little different to meditation or a physical yoga practice. The word nidra means sleep. So in yoga nidra, we lay down, we get really nice and comfy, and we listen to a guided relaxation. So you'll listen to someone's voice talking you through relaxing every single part of your body. And by the end, you should feel like you're dropping into a deeper state of consciousness. Still awake, still alert. So although it's called sleep, yoga nidra, the idea is that you actually stay just about awake, but you are in almost a sleep-like state where your body is totally at rest. You might find when you practice it that you almost feel unable to move your body, you're so relaxed. But you are still somewhat alert and aware of the voice that you're listening to. So you get a lot of the benefits of sleep, of rest, while still remaining somewhat conscious, which means it's a lot easier for you to sort of wake up and come around and feel okay, compared to laying down having a nap, where you might come away from it feeling a bit groggy and a little bit unsettled and disorientated. Yoga nidra usually leaves you feeling refreshed, recharged, alert, focused. Some people do fall asleep when they practice yoga nidra, and really that's okay. It doesn't mean you've got it wrong or that you've done anything wrong, but the idea is that you will stay just about awake. Who is yoga nidra for? Should you be practicing it? The good news is yoga nidra is very accessible. Most people are going to be able to practice it, as long as you can find a quiet space, ideally closing yourself in a room where you know there are not going to be any distractions. You can start with just a short practice, 10-15 minutes, you'll still feel some of the benefits from it. If you have longer, you could do half an hour. I think you can even do up to, say, an hour or beyond of yoga nidra, really whatever you have time for. It's great if you struggle with sleep. And lots of us these days do struggle with sleep because our nervous systems tend to be a little bit overloaded with the pace of modern life, with social media, with this kind of inability that we might have these days to just focus on one task at a time. So if you struggle with sleep, whether that's getting to sleep at night, whether it's staying asleep, maybe you wake up a lot through the night and struggle to get back to sleep, or maybe it's just a feeling of really struggling to relax and unwind in order to get into bed and go to sleep. Yoga nidra is incredibly helpful for that. I quite often put it on when I'm going to bed. If I know that my brain is a bit, overactive and I think I'm going to struggle to drift off, then I might get comfy, lay in bed and put on a yoga nidra. And in that case, I would allow myself to fall asleep rather than trying to stay alert through it. It's also great if you are interested in learning how to meditate, but you really struggle with just sitting still. Because one of the big hurdles that we might face when we try to traditionally meditate is coming into a seated meditation posture and staying still there. We might get distracted by achy hips, the back hurting, feeling fidgety, and that prevents us from being able to go inward and to really focus the mind and practice meditation. So yoga nidra is great because it removes that element of the seated posture. You just lay down and get comfy. As a little side note, did you know that the asana practice in yoga, the postures and the stretches that we do, historically were not really designed to necessarily make us strong and fit and flexible. They were just described in the ancient texts as a method for preparing the body for stillness. So the asana, the word asana means seat, so it's a preparation for being able to sit still and meditate. It's only in more modern yoga that we have assigned the posture practice as a form of exercise or something that gets us strong and fit and healthy. Traditionally, it was just a way of stretching out and preparing to sit and meditate. So what is actually happening when we practice Yoga Nidra? How does it work? One of the big names in the world of Yoga Nidra is Kamini Desai. Now you can find some of her work here on YouTube, including some free Yoga Nidra recordings from her. Here she is giving a very good explanation of how Yoga Nidra works.
So Yoga Nidra is comprised of a series of body, breath, and awareness techniques, which are designed to help you drop from the thinking mind via the feeling body to feel the energy in your body and to use that feeling in the body, the sensation in your body, to slide into the state of being. It happens effortlessly. You don't have to try to be aware. As in classic meditation, you are resting as awareness itself.
So now you've got an idea of what Yoga Nidra is, let's talk about non-sleep deep rest. Are they the same thing? What does it mean? So non-sleep deep rest is, or NSDR, is a term that was coined by Andrew Huberman. Andrew Huberman is a neuroscientist from California. His field of expertise is brain development, brain function, and neural plasticity, which is the ability of the nervous system to rewire and learn new behaviors, skills, and cognitive function. He has a very successful podcast called Huberman Lab, which is where he talks about the research coming out of his lab at Stanford University. They talk a lot about different protocols for health and well-being. Lots of talk about sleep, nutrition, fitness, some interesting stuff about the importance of sunlight and getting sun exposure early on in the day. So if you're interested in all those kind of things, then definitely check out the podcast, or you could just follow him on Instagram, where he shares lots of quite sort of bite-sized snippets of information that can be really fascinating. So the Huberman Lab at Stanford researched this idea of a relaxation protocol to help calm the nervous system, and they describe it as non-sleep deep rest, or NSDR for short. And Andrew Huberman describes this as being very similar to Yoga Nidra. In fact, he explains that Yoga Nidra could be considered one form of non-sleep deep rest, but he also says there are other forms, there are other protocols of non-sleep deep rest that are slightly different to Yoga Nidra. So there is a little bit of a difference, although there's quite a lot of crossover between the two. In their research, they have been able to prove what ancient yogis have kind of suspected for a long time. They've been able to prove that it does, in fact, reduce stress, improve sleep quality, improve cognitive function, enhance your focus, among other amazing benefits. So I think it's amazing and quite exciting to see this research coming out to support what has been practiced in the culture of yoga for such a long time. So how can you get started with Yoga Nidra? There are lots of recordings here online. I've done one on my YouTube channel here so far, which I'll link to below. So if you like the sound of my voice, then you could try that. It is quite important to find a voice that you find relaxing, and this is going to be a personal preference thing. So you can find lots here on YouTube. You can also find podcasts on Spotify with Yoga Nidras. I'd love to hear from you if you've done some Yoga Nidra before, and if you have a voice that you really like, share in the comments below so that we can all, within this community, we can sort of find some different examples of Yoga Nidra practices. The great thing about Yoga Nidra is even with a short practice, you might be able to feel the benefits straight away. So I hope you found this helpful, and let me know in the comments below if you give Yoga Nidra a try. Let me know what your experience is with it. Remember to click the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. It all helps to grow this channel and let YouTube know that you're finding my videos interesting. So subscribe, like, all the usual stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in another video very soon. Enjoy Yoga Nidra.